Yeah.
All right. All right, I'm going to pull the meeting together here. So if you folks would join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Five. Yep. There you go.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Ooh, yeah, we've got some guests tonight, so this is nice, an audience once in a while, not an empty house. All right, so with that, I'm going to call the Select Board of the Town of Damariscotta to order for the evening of January 8th for a regular meeting, and we have all board members present. Illustrious town manager down at the end down there. So how's everybody doing?
Can I propose one addition?
Yes, what you got?
If it pleases the board, I'd like to consider having you appoint a CEO, LPI, and addressing officer.
Sure.
Does anybody object to?
No, I think Andy wants to stay, him and Mike want to stay and keep
Yeah.
doing it.
So we'll add that to item I under
Okay.
official action items. So
Okay,
CEO appointment, we can get into detail when we get there. So,
that's great.
all right, well, let's get started. We do have some minutes to consider, minutes of December 4th and December 18th. Does anybody have any changes, any issues, anything there? So
No,
I'll make a motion to approve the December 4th and December 18th minutes.
thank you,
as written.
Tom.
Second.
I think I heard Andrea second. You got ahead of you on that one, Dan. Get you the next one.
That's
Yeah. All right, financials. We've all had a
We
chance.
didn't take a vote, did we?
Oh, Jesus, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, so everybody, yeah, thank you, Tom. Get ahead of myself. Financial report. So we have, there's 3 payroll warrants tonight and then 1 accounts payable. We can do them all. I think we can do all the accounts.
All the
Payroll warrants together, yeah. I'll move 30, 31, and 33 for payroll warrants.
Second.
All right, Tom, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right, move along. And then accounts payable number 32.
I'll move accounts payable number 32.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Second.
I was waiting
Oh,
for.
no, I'm giving
I
up.
was waiting to take that one. Like, I gave you the open.
No, no,
All right, any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor? Okay, those pass. All right. Number 3, citizens' comments. Is there anybody here that has anything? No, nobody? Okay, we're moving on. No. All right. So Andy, any letters or anything come in, anything like that? So don't prolong it and make them wait. No.
We can start with this.
All right, open forum. Does anybody have, we have several folks here that I think I know why we're here. So, but if anybody would like to, we're gonna make you come up and use the mic and. Yeah. So, yeah, come on up if, yeah, come on, you Jenny, you've been here before. Come on up. So it's just, you know the drill. State your name and all that fun stuff. We know who you are, but
I'm Jenny Began,
for the folks at home.
resident of Damariscotta. The last few days, my phone has been ringing nonstop because for some reason people reach out to me as well as the town. And it just was a shock to have all these trees, mature trees come down on Main Street and Elm Street. My favorite balsam fir, I mean, maybe a state record, it has been chopped down and is gone. Very sad. Anyways, Stephanie did some investigation and, you wrote a really nice memo, Andy, that, she found out the same thing, that they do ask landowners for permission and they give them the option. Do you want to cut your whole tree or just trim it? And people probably think, wow, what a great deal. I get my tree, this tree, which may be trouble in the future, I get it cut down for free. So I can understand, people making that decision. When we looked at a lot of the trees, I think we had some questions as to whether they really needed to be cut down or they could have just been trimmed. And Stephanie has,
I can speak in a minute.
okay, but I'd like to ask her to speak. She's a Newcastle resident, but she has a lot of information too. So I guess the question is, what can be done about this sudden deforestation of Damariscotta, which in the comprehensive planning process, the trees and the greenery in town was considered something that made the place feel like home, and it definitely added to the beauty of the town and provided a lot of other benefits like shade in the summer, and when you cut down all these really big trees, there's going to be a noticeable change in the temperature downtown next year. Big time. I mean, I saw that when they cut down all the trees at the Dollar General store corner, you'd go up Church Street and you'd hit a heat wave that wasn't there before, right after it had been done. So it's going to have a real impact on the town in terms of our microclimate. So I guess I think that it would be great to encourage people to replant trees. It'd be nice to have a landscape plan maybe for the historical area and, the C1 district, and do research and come up with like a list of like really great trees that might not grow to be dangerous to the lines or whatever. And then also to try to find money to help landowners replant trees. Maybe CMP has some funds. Maybe there's some grants we can get, but it'd be nice to provide an incentive for people to replant by, coming up with some sort of a fund. And also the final thing is, I think we need to, it'd be nice if the town could communicate with landowners, like our town residents, about what is planned and what their rights are. Like a lot of people don't know that, you don't have to have it cut down. You could have it trimmed. I just think there needs to be some communication. It'd be great if there was some communication with residents.
The property owners that would be
Not
affected, or
not just the ones that are affected. I mean, it's really all through town. And so maybe it's something that could go out in the tax bill or something like that,
I think the
or in the paper.
important thing to remember in this particular case too is this is private property and it's a utility right away. So
But
the
it's a
town,
historic district. It's downtown.
well, how is that different than
How is it
Egypt
different?
Road or?
Because we have ordinances that protect our downtown. They don't. I just spent Amy Lalim, 10 Hodgson.
Oh.
We have ordinances, historic ordinances that protect the integrity of the buildings. But part of what makes our,
Do private property owners have rights?
do they have rights?
Do
They have to fill out a form in order to change.
So if the agreement is, if CMP goes to these people and says, hey, that tree is gonna be a nuisance, we gotta take it down, and they agree on it as a private property owner, where does the town step in and tell them they can't do that?
If there's an ordinance, they have to apply to
Okay,
the
is that
town to change
overstepping?
that. Is it overstepping?
Yes, in my opinion, yes.
I think that
Yeah.
we have a beautiful
I
downtown
don't
that is a
disagree with you.
mid-coast
Don't disagree.
destination point.
Yeah.
And when you take away the beautiful part, who wants to come? It's going to be so hot. And all the cars that come through, the trees breathe and suck out some of the carbon and the exchange. That's what trees do. They help with the carbon exchange. And taking all that away, we're going to have heat. We're going to have more smells.
And when they hit the power lines and take the power out, we don't have power downtown. So what's your trade-off?
Who's hitting the power lines?
That's why the trees get cut.
The trees were,
That's why they trim them, because they're a nuisance into the. power
yeah,
line.
these weren't trimmed. These were
I
cut
know, that was an
down.
agreement with the
Can I just
property.
step in? The property owner and CMP met, correct? And
that's what I was told.
Did
they deemed that they both agreed to cut the tree down.
Both.
understand.
It's
So-
all. We're not talking both.
No.
There are
both-
many
both-
property owners
don't-
here.
Please don't interrupt me.
Oh, sorry.
So both the landowner and the utility company met. And they agreed to cut the trees that were in the easement or rights of way. And
That's
everybody was happy.
That's how it's
And I
understood.
understand that on First National Bank property, they're going to replant. Is that what hearing or seeing in a letter here.
That's then the conversation I had
So-
with the facilities manager.
So basically, when you do plant a new tree, it's gonna take a few years, but when they plant a tree, they're probably gonna plant it in a different spot, so it's not a nuisance to the power lines. So as somebody that's been out on many calls and missed many family activities over the years for down power lines because of nuisance trees,
How often
I-
does it happen on Main Street?
it
How-
does happen on Main Street. But you also need to understand, there are some trees on David Levesque's property
Yep.
across from
The bank,
that,
across from the bank. Yeah.
they're dead. One of them's dead.
Hmm.
So
Oh, that's right.
oh, sorry, if you, it's not my problem, but it will be, because it's probably gonna, part of it's fallen down already. So are you gonna be upset because someone removes a dead tree? Or is it okay to leave it and let it fall on the property and follow the line?
Josh.
No, you can come in here. I wanna ask you the
If it's
question.
dead, it's not leafing out, it's not helping, it's not providing shade,
Correct.
and it's not helping with the air exchange.
But you also have to do the right thing for the utility company. It's their line, it's their private property. We don't have much of a say in their private property.
Except that we pay them.
And there are plenty of
And-
grants, from, I think it's Main Tree Foundation, Project Canopy. There are plenty of grants out there, American Tree Foundation, I think there's a bunch of them that we can apply, towns can apply, municipalities, other organizations, nonprofits that can go out and apply to get seedlings or bigger trees. There are plenty of avenues that we can, as a town or as private citizens, band together and plant different trees in different areas that aren't in the easement areas of rights of way. So there's plenty of opportunity out there that these things can be taken care of and put them in a different spot. Move them over 20 feet. You can do that. And
You
it's not
can.
gonna be a
It
nuisance.
takes a lot of work and you'll never have a 50-foot tree by the time I'm dead. I mean, these were mature trees that were all taken down. and nobody
Because they
gave
were
it a-
in the right of way of the
They were
power
next to-
line.
They were next to a power line, but they could have been trimmed, not completely taken down.
They could have, but the property owner
I
and
don't know if I believe
CMP.
that all of them were told. I don't know if I believe that.
Come on, yeah, come on out. We can, come on. Come on. Yeah, yeah, we should.
But I'm
We put three
Stephanie
full
Nelson.
chairs up there.
It was just a kid.
My name is Stephanie Nelson and I live in Newcastle, but I do have experience with this because maybe 7 to 10 years ago, I had this with CMP when they were taking down and they wanted, those nice trees on Mills Road. They wanted to take them all down. And I said, no, that's our property. What CMP or Asplund used to do is they tell the property owner that it's been identified as a hazard tree. It's all rotten and we can take it down for you now, or you're going to be responsible for taking down that tree at a later date and it's going to be very expensive. So there's a little intimidation and that's just, I think that's my issue with that. Of course, we want our power lines safe. And there are ways to do that. And we did have them just trim those trees. But they would have taken down, I think there's about 6 trees, old trees. They would have taken them all down years ago. And they're just fine. And a good arborist can tell you when a tree is dead or when it's going, but they, obviously CMP has they were just like no trees up near the power lines. And I did talk to CMP at the time. They have a whole list of trees that are, will stay below the power lines and that's all great. And I think that's where we can, I would like to work with Newcastle and I've been talking about it for a while and they keep on saying when we get our street plan, because they're going to be doing things with Main Street. But to plant trees that are utility friendly and all that. But one of the other issues is they leave the stumps. So those stumps you can't plant, and that can get very expensive to get those stumps out. So They don't take the stumps out. right?
they don't take the stumps out. So I just wonder how many property owners were approached in that way, which we were approached, and I know a few of my neighbors were approached in that way.
about like scaring people into taking down their trees. And so when you say that the property owner and the CMP, yes, but they were kind of scared and, bullied into it in some ways sometimes, I think. And in fact, a neighbor of mine said, they told me it was all rotten, and I was surprised there wasn't rot when they took it down. And it was a big, big old tree. So, I mean, I just wanted to share that experience with you, bring up the issue of stumps, and just hopefully Newcastle and Damariscotta can both replant some trees, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That's definitely an issue between the trust between the property owner and, Central Maine Power, the utility company, between if they're
Right.
leading them in the wrong direction. Yeah,
Right.
beyond the scope of what, what can be regulated, by town, but that's a trust issue where you have to have an arborist come in and, make sure you trust their arborist or trust your arborist. So that's a different, different situation. If you, beyond that, if the agreement's been made, the agreement's been made, unfortunately, whether it was, we hope it wasn't, there was no intimidation like you
Right.
you suggested, but.
And I think years ago, I asked the town of Newcastle just to reach out to CMP and just say, our comprehensive plan says that we do want trees and that we do want this. This is what our comprehensive plan wanted our downtown to look like, and our, trees are important part of our, our comprehensive plan. And I don't know if they did or not, but I keep my eye out for CMP.
Combining your comments with Jenny's, I think one thing that could come out of it is education for the town people, particularly in the areas where there's concern about the trees, maybe a flyer or some information, or even an article in the paper to tell them what they can and cannot do in the future. But what's done is done now. So the only thing you can do is go forward and try to educate people and give them, so they're not intimidated. They know what their rights are and they're informed. I think that's a good idea.
You mentioned the comprehensive plan. I mean, Jenny was on the comprehensive plan, so was I, and I'm there as well. It was very consistent in the discussions we had too, that the importance of community livability and trees and sort of the benefits of walking and in communities and having shaded areas is important. So I like to think that going forward, I understand the importance of private property ownership and rights, but there is a place for communities to work together with like-minded organizations as well. And unfortunately, we do have a good organization in town. I think Coastal Rivers would be a great partner. And I know that they've had thoughts about trees as well, in terms of, with appropriate trees going forward, ones that are that will survive in this climate, probably ones that are also, I think somebody used the word utility friendly trees. That seems really important as well. So all of those things are great. So maybe it was envisioned at one point in time that there would be an initiative around that in terms of, because it was recognized even years ago that we've lost so many of our big trees.
A lot of them are aging out, which is just
they're aging
life,
out,
but-
there's a history of diseases and trees as well. So that's all true. And something that Amy said just sort of stuck with me, but it's not a reason not to do it, is that, by the tree, 40 years from now, you'll be dead. Okay. Yeah, so will I. But that's not a reason not to plant trees today that are appropriate in the community for the next generation. So I think there is something there. And I'd like to see that there's a way to work together and balance all of those different interests. And at some point in time, somebody should get together with Coastal Rivers and sort of take that next step. We've talked about it, but it's really taking the next step.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Organize a bulk tree by, maybe sponsored by the towns, Newcastle, Damariscotta, and CRCT or something.
Maybe, but yeah, no, absolutely. I think-
Just coming up with, like, working with them to come up with a good list of suitable trees. I mean, you don't want people planting a bunch of those red maples that are invasives.
Yeah, my guess is that it would even involve something even more than that, because I love the fact that you folks are here. Is that my guess is that it'd be an opportunity to bring people together, have some sort of community event in terms of what are important about the trees and create a plan to move forward. And that's something that Coastal Rivers could help us with in terms of sort of saying, reaching out to owners, saying these trees are appropriate, we can provide them for you, and then just have a plan.
But we are gonna, I mean, the problem is everybody made their own individual decision. And it turned into this big effect, in the downtown area. You had multiple landowners all making their little isolated decision. And then we ended up with this.
With the community going, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay as well. You have to recognize that they're individuals and individual
Right,
property.
right,
So you
right,
can't
but-
trample on, I understand the concern. No, don't do that to me. You cannot trample on, I completely understand. I'm not anti-tree. I'd love to see trees downtown, a tree lined Elm Street. We don't have that now. And I have a private property owner that has been said, hey, look, this tree's gotta come down. It's in the right of way for whatever reason. They take it down. I'm not, also don't feel we should be trampling on their rights as a private property owner either.
So if
I have trees, I
everybody
live.
If everyone as a private property owner says, I'm gonna take my trees down, the town is okay with having no
Who
trees?
says you can't? What do you want us to regulate? Do you want to over-regulate to a point? Can I not cut trees on my property to fire, in my wood stove?
You have to.
Well,
educate
because
people.
we have a look to our town.
That's-
It's the historic part. The buildings can't be tampered with without filling out forms.
I know, and that's enough of a regulation right there to the point where people are, you have people that have to afford downtown as well and do things, we can't over-regulate to a point where they can't do certain things, so. So if the tree, the trees that came down, if they get to the point where they came down and damaged the buildings that they live in, they're liable, their insurance is liable
course,
for taking
of
care of
course,
it, right?
of
Maybe
course.
they didn't want to do that. Maybe they took that and said, hey, this tree comes down, it damages my building, my insurance goes up. Are they not allowed to take that tree down now?
Well,
I mean, we gotta be careful about trampling on, going too far with regulation. I understand the concerns and education is great and letting people know that there are choices. Yeah, there may have been times, and we don't know in these situations where these trees could have been trimmed. I don't disagree. There might have been. I don't know that because I'm not an arborist. That may have been a better solution, but it didn't happen. For whatever reason, it didn't happen between the utility provider.
And did
And
any of
property,
you
so.
have any idea that this was
We
going
don't,
to
we
happen?
don't need to be. The
Your
town doesn't need to be
town-
notified.
It's our town.
It's a private
It's our-
property
It's
owner.
our downtown.
It's a
Delaware.
private property owner.
Okay.
I'm not
so
really
if
sure
all the
why that
private
doesn't-
Property owners just put up a fence in front of it, then the downtown becomes nothing. You're saying that, I mean, there are
all
regulations
this regarding.
There are, but in
the
this
ambiance
case,
and
there's
what
a
the town
very
is.
private property owner. They were given the chance and that's what they decided to do. Hey, we can't do much about that. If folks in town want to regulate tree cutting, I guess that's the way to go, but I don't know how that's gonna work.
It does work in other communities.
Sure, I
If you
don't
take a
know.
tree down, you have to replace it. In some communities, they're very.
Okay, that's an avenue. If that's what people choose to do, then there's avenues to do that, but I'm not in favor of it. I can tell you that right now in this meeting, that I'm not in
So
favor
you're
of
in
that.
favor of no trees to keep the utility.
Did I say that? Did I say no trees? I
You're
said,
saying you want everyone to have their own choice to have a tree or not have a tree, and if the choice is the tree is gonna bother the power line, then take them all down. And then what do we have for a town? It's not beautiful anymore. Because it's a personal choice, when it's a.
I
big
forgot, personal
property.
choice doesn't matter. That's right. Okay, yeah.
People
All right.
downtown have more, I mean, because that's the historical district. It was decided by our town long ago that there are ordinances that affect.
So
that area.
I have a tree behind I'm gonna switch my hat around. I have a tree behind the property that I manage for Miguel. It will be coming down. It's in the power line. It will be coming down fairly soon. So I'll let you guys know that ahead of time. It's in the foundation. It's up over between two buildings. It is a nuisance tree. So if anybody wants to chain themselves to it, go ahead, but it's gonna be coming down.
Don't give us any
No.
ideas.
Well, it's private property.
It's private property.
I think we're going full circle here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is, we're gonna write a letter in the paper, or an article. We need to try to educate people that they have a choice, usually to trim versus take down the tree. We'll make a case for, keeping as much of a tree as possible. And we'll work to promote more planting of trees in the town.
Got it.
Well,
isn't this part of the
comp
plan?
Michael? Isn't it part of the comp plan that we talked about keeping trees, and it's something we could work towards?
Yeah, generally, I think, I mean, I'm sure the comp plan doesn't say, to restrict property owners' ability to cut their trees down or anything like that. But I think that I'm sure that it discusses, landscaping, open space, green space in the downtown and around.
It recognizes the value of trees.
It does.
Right. So, yeah, and this is the whole thing, I mean, it's all big, it's balance. Is kind of what it comes down to, because you got rid of the power lines, I don't think people would be happy either, so.
And,
You get rid of the trees, people aren't, so we have to figure out a good way to do it, and.
and we do lose power a lot.
We do, not really. Main Street doesn't, but we do.
We do. Main Street goes out, it goes out for a while, so.
You might mention in the article about potential plans to seek funds for replanting, there's a possibility for owners who had to take a tree down that was dead, but they might be interested in getting a grant to put a new tree up that would be suitable for utilities.
Yeah, you can't promise people stuff.
No, you can't promise it, but you could suggest it.
Yeah, there's always possibility.
Research can be done to figure out what programs are available.
And I already know 2 people that are committed to giving money towards replanting. So there are people in our village that are ready to give money to help replant, but we need to get a committee together, maybe through the comp plan, Michael? I don't know. If it's the
I
right venue.
The tree, like this will probably encourage more, but I imagine the comp plan committee will. Consider and address trees and, there's a lot of trees in Damariscotta, there's just tends not to be a ton downtown, so.
But I mean, specifically downtown people are very interested in having replanting, but that means we need to educate the private landowners and ask them if we can put trees on their property. We can't just mandate it.
But it's also like even the cemetery trees, have issues. It would be great to be able to replace cemetery trees. I mean, there are town-owned trees too. That,
Well, that does come up periodically about taking certain trees down from the trustees of the cemetery. They bring it forward and it's discussed and decided. Because there are some dead trees that have to come down. And they're a hazard because if somebody's walking
Yeah,
out
most
there.
trees in a cemetery are a hazard.
Yeah.
They break stones and, even live ones and healthy ones.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming.
hearing
Yeah,
us.
thank you guys. Yeah.
There's more if you want to.
I like the passion.
Yes, there's all kinds. You're fine. Thank you, guys. All right. Andy, do you have anything for manager's report?
I can cover a few things if you'd like.
Yeah, give us some highlights.
Working to try and get a different type of salt in the shed, something that's pre-treated. Morton produces their own blend of what they use as a magnesium chloride, and then as an anti-caking agent, they call it. They'll use a combination of molasses and corn syrup just to help keep it from binding together and clumping up. So it's tasty. Yeah, it'll work. It'll work better with the colder temps. It's not uncommon for places to consider using it. I mean, the benefit is it starts reacting a lot quicker in the warmer temps, but typical road salt doesn't usually have much of an effect once it gets below 15 degrees.
They must be using that on Westview. My dog keeps licking the road.
Yeah, we haven't put it out yet. We haven't put it out yet.
All right.
We don't have it yet.
No,
But we're
your dog's just weird.
the company.
He is weird, yeah.
Tom, you're not the one licking the road, right?
The truck is back at Copeland's trying to get some steering issues resolved from, I believe, from the work that was done up there. The John Deere is currently back at United, trying to identify where there's a hydraulic leak. They've seen it, they found out where generally it is, and they got to take the cab off to try and get to it and address it. So they have that, and hopefully can get that worked out in the next few days and get it back to us. The budget committee met yesterday, just as a follow-up from the previous discussion. I shared with them some of the known contractual increases that we expect that we'll see in FY 26. Give them a status update, if you will, on where provider agency requests are at the moment. Most of what was received last year has returned. Two of them haven't currently submitted something from last year. But there's 3 additional groups as well. So I just gave them an update where that stood, because that was of great interest last year for them. And then their next meeting they're planning to have with the board around the capital budget review on the 29th. Cheryl and I have done a first round of interviews with 4 people for the part-time position out front here. 2 of them will be interviewing 2 more, or 2 of them from the first round is a second round interview before making a decision on that. And the police department is currently fully staffed. There's a new officer that's going through the 100-hour training course now, Matt Wells. And then there was a recent retirement that they've come back and have been rehired. So we're back to full staff, and there's an anticipated retirement at the end of March. So something for Jason to work towards.
Yeah, that's anticipated. Okay.
Trying to get something there. It had been a challenge trying to get applicants in. You know, we had filled the one from when the sergeant, Kyle was promoted to sergeant. I think he had 6 applications, but it took probably close to 2 months to garner those. And of those, I think only 1 had been a blue-pinned officer. And so this last round we had open for about 3 weeks once we learned of the retirement, and we didn't get any applications other than his. So just to be aware, it's been challenging to try and bring people in just to apply.
Yeah. It's challenging everywhere.
Should try New York City. They're probably happy to move.
Yeah, maybe.
I think those were the major ones that came to mind.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy. All right, well, we can get some official action items out of the way. So we have a couple of contracts, and then Andy snuck a good one in us in the end there, CEO. So, all right. Pages here, so.
The animal control.
Yeah, so we have our ACO contract. I didn't see any highlights on that, any changes?
Still the same ones from last year. We didn't have a meeting early enough to discuss it collectively as to all the towns that are included in this, but the change last year, which still applies this year, is kind of around the indemnity. We kind of bear all responsibility essentially from that perspective of the sheriff's employee. Our attorney did look at it. I know Wiscasset had their attorney look at it. We have some comments and feedback, but it's not something that we're likely to smooth over in the short term. At the end of the day, I mean, I can appreciate the county looking out from their insurance company's perspective, making sure that they aren't unfairly held liable for something. But from our perspective, at the end of the day, as a county employee, we don't have control over their actions. And they are enforcing the state statutes. So it's not much different than a county sheriff enforcing state statutes on the road. So we just got to work with the county over that to make sure both parties don't feel like unfairly. But I think that's, me and my colleagues have all kind of same points. Like, this is the same language that we had last year. The only change I think that was applied was it now acknowledges local ordinances for those towns that have them.
Okay.
By contract, they can do that for us. So that acknowledges that at least now. But have suggested that we try to get together and talk to Rainmaker about it already, about trying to get together maybe to get through our budget processes to start the conversation earlier for next year.
So it's basically a per diem thing, right? Where we just, when we need them, they charge us. I'm just curious, is the trend higher or lower? And
I have not looked at it.
and I'm just,
I can find out.
though. We have more animal problems now than we have in the past.
We can get you the
Question,
reports.
I don't know, do we even?
don't know,
do they
more
mention
deer
it in the
strikes? I
paper
don't know,
when the
whatever-
police
whatever
have
they
to
do.
deal with a animal problem?
Oh, I don't
No,
Usually the game.
no, domesticated animals is what the
Right.
ACO handles.
Okay, right,
And then-
versus the
then-
game warden does the,
Inland Fisheries and Wildlife handle
Yeah.
try to handle
Wild
that.
stuff.
Wild
Okay.
game.
And they'll tell you, oh, just put them in the ditch, move them a little further over.
I mean, like the deer you hit or something. You just-
Yeah, any roadkill is typically dealt with by either Public Works or the DOT,
Yeah.
depending on which road it's on.
There was a buck killed down by Napa last, I think it was like Monday.
Mm,
Yeah, we killed Monday. Just right in front of Napa.
yeah. Yeah. It's a heavy area there for him, so, all right.
Okay.
Everything looks good.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, is it, Andy, do you sign this one?
I think.
Yeah. Signed.
Make a motion
Presence
to,
flag,
have Andrew Dorr sign the animal control services contract for the town of Damariscotta and the sheriff's department, county.
Sure, second. Thank you.
So, Dan got one, all right.
Quick.
He stared at me.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, that one. Yep,
And I think the next one is the same thing.
much the same, isn't it? Just the marine.
Marine.
Yeah, I didn't find any typographical errors. I read them twice.
All right.
So
yeah.
I'll make a motion to, same, but for the Marine Law Enforcement Services contract.
Okay, yeah,
Second.
second, and discussion? All right, do we often use witness to the Seth? That's a hard one to say. All those in favor? Okay, we're good there. All right. Andy, tell us about this appointment we have next.
Michael has, as of last week, offered the opportunity to Michael Tatro to be our code enforcement licensed plumbing inspector and addressing officer. He submitted his paperwork Monday or Tuesday. Yesterday. And so he's good on our end. Just formally, the board would have to appoint him so we can submit that paperwork to the state. Michael has worked for various shipyards, everything from installation of electrical and plumbing up to the management and strategic planning side of businesses. He's worked for Lyman Morse, then went to Front Street Shipyard, and then owned Gambit Shipyard for a while, most recently. And so he's looking for something that'll keep him busy,
Qualified.
that'll work his mind still, and you know, he feels like his experiences would be a good fit. So he understands that there's codes when related to plumbing and electrical. It's just a different code for ships than it is for houses, but he understands at least there's a process and there's a code to follow. So.
Andy lives in Damariscotta.
And he lives in Damariscotta.
Oh, nice, nice.
Nice.
So Michael, are you here to protest the appointment? You like to keep the dual? You want to take away those extra duties for you?
Is he just gonna be Damariscotta or is he gonna be share? Okay.
Is Michael Tatra?
We don't want to share.
Tatro.
Tetro. Okay. Nice. That's awesome. All right.
Sounds good.
I will make a motion to appoint Michael Tetro as code enforcement officer. That is all we need to do. Yeah. And licensed plumbing inspector. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
But we keep you guys as going forward, right?
Backups. Oh, God.
At least temporarily.
Right.
Yes, but long term, I also was probably gonna be like happy to be deputy so that there's always. backup.
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I've got a motion. Anybody second?
It was for
Yeah,
all three
Andrea
positions,
second.
right?
Andrea
It was
second.
for all three
Yes.
positions.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yes.
And addressing.
And I didn't say that, but yes, addressing officer. Okay. Yeah. Yes, all three positions. Andrea seconded. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? So did we do those as a deputy? Is that what, because you were just asking them about
Because they were
We're
acting,
already
acting, but you're already.
deputy, yeah.
You're already
Okay, so we don't need
deputies.
to reappoint.
so you guys are good,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, let me show we don't need to reappoint or
You had
anything.
appointed me alternate AO in anticipation of someone filling the position, so. Still got
Alternate runner up,
right? Yeah.
vice, yeah, there's lots of titles there. We could. All right, is that it for business?
Believe so.
We do have an executive session, we're gonna go into, so before we do that, any other public board discussion we want to throw
Well,
up
I'm just
Yep.
make people aware, if you're not, that COVID and flu A are endemic in the state of Maine right now, and the hospitals are packed.
Oh,
and
no.
they were out of Paxlovid for about a week.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So beware. You might see more people wearing masks, whatever.
All right, thank you, Don. I am no longer the health officer, so I can't,
You don't,
You can't, yeah.
I cannot do anything about it.
well, we could make you deputy.
I know, I'm, no, yeah. All right, well, if that's it, I'll, yeah.
Question
we'll- oh,
about
go ahead.
Linda. Is she not doing this anymore?
Linda was in the hospital for a while, following what should have been a
Oh,
routine
dear.
procedure. She's expressed that she may be able to come back, but also not sure if she will be coming. So she had kind of acknowledged that she understood if we needed to do something else. And so we've actually posted the part-time position for out front and actually included the
Okay.
minutes of multiple boards in that position.
Hmm.
So
And the-
might be
and the-
worth sending something to her.
The
as a
handy,
thank you.
yeah, and the handy part is we have this.
We do.
Yes.
For some of the meetings.
Yes,
Planning board and select
Right,
board, but
yeah.
most of the other ones don't, so.
yes, but if we could send something to Linda.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Awesome. Okay. All right, well, we'll let, we're gonna go to executive session in a second, so I'll let you
Okay.
get it shut down and